Welcome everybody to the 6 p.m. City Council meeting of January 7th, 2020. Let the roll call reflect that all council members are present. This evening we have a bit of a long agenda followed by a second meeting as well, but we also have some members of the public that are here to comment. If the council's okay with it, I'd be happy to entertain a motion to move public comment to after the request to be on the agenda.
Sure, I'll make that.
So moved.
Okay. Go ahead. Can I just add a?
Please make a formal motion if you would.
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion to move public comment to after the request to be on agenda, item number 2. And I just want to make sure people understand that public comment does not apply to the public hearings that are on the agenda. They're more general comments, any ideas or things you want to share with the council, but not things regarding the public hearings, which are the fiscal year 2020 budget amendment.
Yep, thank you. Do we have a second to the motion?
Second.
We have a motion by Vice Chair Chaburka, second by Council Member Heyer to move public comment on the agenda to follow the item number 2 request to be on the agenda. This is a voice vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes. We'll start our regular council meeting with the request to be on the agenda as planned. And we'll start with President James Taggart from the Ogden Weber Technical College to give us a report. Welcome. Thank you. It's good to see you.
It's good to see you. Thank you, council members. I have been asked to keep my comments brief because you have a very long agenda. We are honored to be part of this community, and it's a great opportunity for us to talk about your Ogden Weber Technical College. Do I get to advance this, right? I don't have to point to anybody. Good. We sent all of you our annual report. On the cover of our annual report, you see Jake Mathis. Jake Mathis is a culinary student. He's also a high school student at the Deaf and Blind School. Jake is hearing impaired. He was born in China at age 4. His parents abandoned him because they could not care for him. He was adopted by 2 hearing impaired parents here in our local community, and he did not realize that he could learn a language and be able to communicate. You'll see that our cover says, I am OTech. Jake Mathis is one part of who it makes Ogden Weber Tech great. We're going to talk more about what makes Ogden Weber Tech great. I want to just briefly share with you our mission because it's a shared mission with the City Council. We build a prosperous community, and that's what our City Council does. You're all elected, and you're passionate about building a prosperous community. Our role in that is by building a technically skilled workforce, and we do that one student at a time. We have had tremendous growth at the Tech College. Now, we are usually cyclical with the economy. When unemployment is under 4%, our enrollment drops. When unemployment's really high, people come to the Tech College to get the skills they need to get a job. Our enrollment has been growing, and that's happened for a reason. The City Council is part of that. The emphasis on having a technically skilled workforce has never been higher. We have a lot of employers that have a lot of high-paying jobs that are going unfilled because we don't have the technically skilled workforce that is needed. So we've had tremendous growth in both our adult population and with our high school students. Now, in the state of Utah, high school students can attend one of the 8 technical colleges tuition-free. This past year, we had 1,826 students, high school students, do early college at Ogden Weber Tech. They're enrolled for just under 400,000 hours. That's the equivalent of over $700,000 in tuition savings. That saves mom and dad money, and that saves the kids money, which is phenomenal. We have many of our high school students that are able to complete their full post-secondary tech certificate while they're in high school. So we talk about what does it mean to be OTech. Each one of our students are OTech, but it's also our talented faculty and staff. It's our employers that hire our students and guide our programs. It's our educational partners. It's certainly our civic and our government leaders. Each of you are Ogden Weber Tech and are key to our success. So let me give you a snapshot of our students. Last year, we served about just under 6,000 students. Since July, we already have served 4,214 students. Almost a third of our students are early college high school students. over a third of our students are students of color, and the largest percentage are Hispanic Latino students. 28% of our students are Hispanic Latino. That is a strategic plan initiative that was started by my predecessor, Colette Mercier, and our goal is to match Ogden City's Hispanic Latino population. We realized that we mirrored the county that we serve, Weber County, but we were not serving our larger city. And so we're very proud about that. Now, we know that the city is a moving target, and that's a wonderful moving target. And so when people say, when will you know you're there? We'll know there when we eclipse what the city's Hispanic Latino population is. We're also the largest provider of apprenticeship training in the state of Utah. 1 in 4 of our students is an apprentice. Apprenticeship programs are great because these are working adults that are coming to school while they're earning a really good wage. Last year, our students generated over $60 million in wage earnings. Those wages in the first year generated $3 million in state income taxes. They pay for the cost of their education that the taxpayer pays within about 8 years. And then they continue to give back to the community from then on. Most of our training takes less than a year. All of our students graduate with no student loan debt. That means that when they're earning money, they're able to spend that on their families, buying cars, buying homes. They make our community prosperous because they're not paying it on student loan debt. Our wage and tax dollars stay here in Utah because our students stay in Utah. Recently, the Utah Data Research Center did a study on tech college graduates, and they know that 97% of them are in Utah 1 year after graduation, and 85% are still retained in the state of Utah after 5 years. And that's important. Our taxpayers make an investment to keep our skilled workforce local. And it makes a huge impact in what we're trying to do in our community. I wish I could have brought each one of you one of our world famous cinnamon rolls or raspberry rolls, but our baking program told us that they have to come straight from the oven for you to enjoy. But we do have a gift for you in a minute. We do have great stackable credentials, and you'll see that I have Weber State listed there at the top. Weber State, what a great day that it's Founders Day, and we got to inaugurate a great champion for our community in President Mortensen. That's why I'm wearing Waldo today. We have wonderful stackable credentials with Weber State. This means that students can start at Ogden Weber Tech or one of our sister institutions, and they can continue their education at Weber State in an accelerated fashion and do not have to repeat credits. They can start in high school. They can complete their tech certificate while in high school. They can go on and complete associate degrees and bachelor's degrees at Weber State. We have similar programs with Utah State Salt Lake Community College and LDS Business College, but the vast majority are at Weber State. And we want our students to have that opportunity to get their education here in Ogden and have an opportunity to work here. So what does our archway say? It pays to live in Ogden. It pays to learn in Ogden. It pays to earn in Ogden.
I like that. It's very good.
Last year, we had over 1,000 apprenticeship students. Year to date, we've almost eclipsed that. This is a new model that you're going to see more and more in our community. The time when you went to school to learn enough to get a job is being reversed. You're going to get a job and your employer's going to send you to school. And that's good for our communities. We don't want to be losing individuals if we've got jobs that are going unfilled, but we don't want unskilled people that aren't going to be able to add to our community. So we have great employer support in growing our apprenticeship programs. Here's an example of one. These are students from Ben Lomond High School. Each one of these students gets up every morning, Monday through Friday, and they go in an hour before school and they take automated manufacturing courses from Ogden Weber Tech at Ben Lomond High School. The demand for individuals that have robotics and automation experience is through the roof in our community. Fresenius, Autoliv, Parker, Kimberly-Clark, Hill Air Force Base, they all need automation technicians, and we cannot produce enough of them. With our partnership with Ogden School District, we started this program, so we now have high school students that will be employable, actually paid internships while they're in high school, and they'll have high-paying jobs with access to associate and bachelor's degrees at both Weber State and Utah State shortly after graduating from high school. Last year, we started with a group of 16 students. I didn't think we'd find 16 students that would want to come before school started every single day. This year we had room for 30 students, 40 showed up the first day. That's amazing. That does not happen in very many communities, but it happens in Ogden. Our Hispanic Latino secondary students complete a post-secondary certificate at a higher rate than any other demographic, and that's not just a blip. That's been 4 years in a row. I have checked. I can't find another community where that occurs, but it happens in Ogden because Ogden is awesome. I want to just give a minute to introduce Madison Heineke. She is our Student of the Year, and she is a student in our non-destructive inspection program. Madison.
Hi, you guys. Thank you all for allowing me the opportunity to be here. One of the things that has really opened my mind in just the past 5 minutes is I see things on a very eye level to where I'm at, but to how the school really is impacting community and people just like me that I don't see is really, truly incredible. And one of the reasons why I was so happy to stand behind Ogden Weber Tech. I moved up here when I was 18 and started going to Weber State. And I definitely kind of fell into this lull that I felt like I had to go to college. That was kind of my only option, was to go to university. Otherwise, I kind of wasted my high school career and wasn't really going to go anywhere. And after 2 years and some family tragedy, I left Weber State with an unfinished degree and a lot of school debt. A couple years later, my eyes were open to the non-destructive inspection program at Ogden Weber Tech College, and it was everything that I didn't know that I wanted in a career. And from the moment I walked in the doors, people were there greeting me, willing to answer any of my questions, but also set me up same day with a schedule that was affordable, that I could pay monthly, that I didn't have any debt, which is crazy. I have been in the program for about 5 months, and for 2 of those 5 months, I have not been paying tuition. I have been really generous, really fortunate to receive a generous scholarship from Ogden Weber Tech College because they provide so many resources for adults who are not high school students, so we don't get our tuition for free, but based on good attendance and good progress in the program, I was able to get my tuition paid for the past 2 months, and will be able to get my tuition paid for the next month or 2, however long I'm still in the program. So that was incredible. That really helped me set up kind of my future plans and make it so that by the time I'm done with my certificate here at Ogden Weber Tech College, I can go directly into a career, which I've already had several job offers and have only been training for 5 months. And some of these job offers are twice the amount, the salary that I was making before, which is incredible. And the doors have only started to open. So really quick, I wanted to just give a shout out to my program and the instructors that I have access to. They're so incredible. It is amazing the lengths that Ogden Weber Tech College goes to find incredible instruction. My instructors are so willing and so ready to help connect learning with opportunity. And that was something that I discovered day one. They showed me where I would be able to get a job, and they have great working relationships with employers so that it can be a congenial thing. You can go to school and get employed and move on and, take the next step and take what you are meant to be for something greater. So anyway, thank you all.
Please do.
I'm just curious,
Yes.
Can you tell us what non-destructive inspection is?
Yes, absolutely. So non-destructive inspection, basically we are under the quality umbrella. So we are in charge of inspecting pretty much everything. One of the biggest applications around Ogden is in the Air Force industry. So we will inspect engine parts, airplane wings, compressors, any types of metal applications. We typically do radiography. That's one of the largest ones that's used around Ogden now. But then as the world of composites grows and some of the technology is increasing, we do ultrasonics as well. And that's another one of the categories that we learn at Ogden Weber Tech College. And we also get access to eddy current testing. So it's electrical conductivity. We're able to find cracks in parts, and we're able to find lack of bonding. And what we find in our position in our career is vital to safety all over the world. It is amazing what non-destructive inspection technicians have been able to detect in things that are invisible to the eye. And we've been able to save insane amounts of money and lives that you can't put a price on. So that's pretty incredible. And there's a total of 5 methods that we have access to at Ogden Weber Tech College. The 3 that I mentioned, there's radiography, ultrasonics, and eddy current. We also do liquid penetrant, which is really cool. That one's one of my favorites. You get a fluorescent dye and it soaks into cracks. So anything open to the surface, we're able to have that fluorescent dye soak into that, and we can inspect under a black light. And again, it's stuff that is invisible to the eye. You could look over parts time and time again, and you do an inspection on it, and it just shows up plain as day. And then the last one is magnetic particle, which the way that it works is just incredible. And the equipment that we have this massive magnet machine that has a sheet over it so that it's, again, fluorescent. So you're inspecting under a black light. And it's just a really, really neat program, and I'm really fortunate to have found Ogden Weber Tech College.
Madison, those are interesting topics, but not nearly as interesting as your passion for them.
Oh my gosh, they're so fun.
We have another question from Councilmember Heyer. You've piqued some curiosity.
Okay, definitely keep them coming, because I got it.
President Taggart, glad you're here. Take the night off. You did a good job.
You can explain non-destructive inspection better than I can. There's only 2 programs in the state: Salt Lake Community College, Ogden Weber. It is listed in the top 10 highest paying jobs where you don't need a 4-year degree.
Wow.
Yeah.
So if you want to fly an F-35, you better hope you have a really good non-destructive inspection.
No doubt.
That's true. What's your question?
That was what I was going to say is it's been really enjoyable to see your excitement and passion for the field that you've chosen. You're a good ambassador for Ogden Weber Tech, or whatever we're calling it now, OTEC. So okay.
That's a cool way to call it.
A few years ago, President Mercier brought a student of the year to meet us, a young man, was also in the non-destructive.
Sean Owens.
Yeah, and I guess the question is the program making the student, or is the students making the program?
Ooh, I don't know. I would have to say it kind of goes both ways. I think that the program and the instructors, I have to put a lot of emphasis on that, because they bring such a passion for the program, and they are so good at creating an atmosphere that really lets you problem solve, and it is nitpicky. You could sit and look at a radiograph for 15 minutes and find something new after 15 minutes that you didn't see the first time. And so I think just the environment being really, really hands-on definitely makes the program. I think that I don't know. I think that the students make the program also, because I think that the more that we have a desire to learn, and the more that we place emphasis on the importance of non-destructive inspection, I think we're only going to be able to dive into it deeper and learn new methods and get better. And it really is an art. It's a craftsmanship. And I think that combining intelligence or something that's like engineering, I guess, but a career where it's craftsmanship that really makes you good at it, I think that that's something that people who really have a passion for it have figured out. It really takes a good eye and takes practice and dedication to everyone who you're helping to really fall in love with this. So I would say it goes both.
Thank you. You need to clone her. And
I don't know. I'm kind of competitive. I don't know if I can deal with another one of me. I'm just kidding.
Is this a 2-year program? Or?
No, actually, it's set up to be a 9-month program. And which is amazing because, I mean, if you go in and you take your time and you really learn it, I feel like 9 months is very sufficient. I will probably be done by the middle of February, so it will be about 6 months for me. I had a friend who took the course, and she was done in 2.5 months. So I think the thing that Ogden Weber Tech College does so great at is they give you the resources to do what you need to do, to let you come in, to really focus your attention and energy on what you need to get you where you want to go. And I think your success is really based on your dedication to taking the next step and being responsible and doing what you need to do. And there's so many people at Ogden Weber Tech College that are willing to help you. So yeah, it's kind of at your own pace, which is nice. I like it.
Well, Madison, it's very clear, both for Madison and President Taggart, that this program, in my own answer to your question, this program is among the best, and so it attracts the best, and it helps those people become their absolute best. Here's our proof, right?
I would definitely agree.
And that's why we wanted to have you here tonight, and I think that's why you want to be here tonight, is to share that with us, because, Madison, you're not the only one that tends to look eye level in life. We all focus on the things that are in front of us, and we recognize that we hadn't had you in front of us enough either. And so to listen to these examples and these stories, the statistics and the narrative of which you guys have put together for this community is incredible. I mean, in all truthfulness, I had goosebumps at moments of your presentation, President Taggart. So, yeah. So thank you so much for coming here, sharing that with us, and sharing it with the community.
Can I ask one other question?
Oh, we still have questions.
Sorry.
Okay, sorry.
I want to go to school.
Some bling.
Yeah. So I'm sure speaking here tonight is one of the highlights of being Student of the Year. But
Definitely.
is there other perks to being named Student of the Year? What other requirements or opportunities do you get?
Honestly,
Because I can't think of anyone that I would rather have speak about the Ogden Weber Applied Tech College than you. So, I mean, if you have the opportunity to go out and speak to others and recruit, I could see why you would be Student of the Year.
Yeah, honestly, when I found out that there was the Student of the Year award, when it was just an award, it was like, you know what? I've only been here for 2 months at the time I had applied. I think that there's definitely some other deserving individuals. And then when I found out that it was you're speaking and you're talking about your experience and you're showing up and being able to advocate for the school, I sat down and wrote my essay right then and was like, I know what you guys are doing here and I want to be a part of it. So yeah, this is definitely the highlight, of course, of the year.
Well, great. Well, congratulations on being named and also being able to graduate that quickly, and good luck.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you for the bling. I trust this has been inspected without being destructed.
This was created locally by Simple Arts. Mm-hmm. Just to let you know the rule on belt buckles. If you buy it and wear it and didn't earn it, that's fake. That's horrible. Each of you have earned this. You've earned an Ogden Weber Technical College belt buckle by your support for our students, for our employers, and our community. So it has Ben Lomond on there. It has the wonderful Ogden arch. Now, I feel horrible. If you look really closely, and she can see it because she's an
There are some upgrades to
I took
it.
some liberties with the arch. Please don't share with President Mortensen, who will be here in 2 weeks.
It does not say home of Weber State University.
That's what it says.
It says home of Ogden Weber Tech.
It sure does.
We are blessed in this community to have the best university anywhere and the best technical college, and that helps make Ogden awesome. So thank you. You don't have to wait till Pioneer Days to start wearing this. Start wearing this now.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much, guys. Wow.
It does say it pays to live in Ogden, so that's
It does.
that's a
It does. That is a beautiful belt buckle. Thank you. And if you knew where I worked and what it's like to work there, you would know that this is well appreciated. We deal in belt buckles where I go every day. Yes, it is. Yeah.
Hey, thanks for the extra one. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks for seeing you this morning too, Jim. And this morning and tonight. This is great.
Yeah.
Bookends. Yep, I like it.
Okay. Moving right on to more excitement for the evening. We are joined by Paul Skeen and Alana Eccles, who will present the fiscal year 2019 audit report for us to consider accepting for review. There you go.
We appreciate the opportunity to be here and realize fully that we cannot compete with the student of the year. We'll kind of talk you through the process quickly and let you get to other items. Reminding those, I think most of you have been part of this process before. We will have a pretty thorough question and answer work session with the council where we'll do a deeper dive. So we'll keep this real high level. One of the things that I wanted to bring up, the last few years, there have been a lot of challenges with a system conversion and personnel changes that Lisa and her team have had to overcome and deal with that have caused not this year, but the prior 2 years, audits to be submitted to the state a little late. We're thrilled that that was not the case this year. So I hope you take the opportunity to thank them and the team for the efforts in surviving a system conversion. That's a pain. No matter what, it's a good pain, but they did a great job with that. And the process this year was much improved over the last two. So that's the 60,000 foot overview. We'll give you the 50,000 foot overview and then get out of your hair. The one thing that we want to make sure that we impress upon you is that we are independent. We do a lot of work to make sure that there are no financial or other conflicts that exist, and so we are independent. We start this process in the summer. We work through until December 31st, the day it's due to the state, and we got it in. The role of the auditor is to plan and execute an audit that allows us to offer an opinion on the financial statements. The financial statements are still the city's. They're your financial statements. We simply work to make an opinion on those statements. And we are offering, as always, an unqualified opinion, which is the very best that we can offer. It's a clean opinion. And so there are no qualifications to that at all. One of the things that we'll talk in much more detail in the work session is there were a few adjustments that we still needed to make this year that, as we dug in, really should have been applied to prior years. There are some things that we cleaned up in the current year. Again, we'll go into the details on that in the work session and talk you through the specific things. A lot of them involved estimates from prior years that, as we look with the information we have now, we needed to adjust a little bit. But those have all been presented within the financial statements, so the financial statements do reflect a clean year. So that's all we intend to talk about the financial statement audit. I'm going to let Alana talk about some of the compliance audits that we do and the findings from those.
In addition to the audit on the financial statements, since the city participates in federal awards programs, they are required to get what we call a single audit over the federal awards. And they're also required to get a compliance audit on certain state compliance requirements. And I'll go ahead and summarize the findings of those two audits. The process for those audits is similar with a financial audit in that we're required to do a risk assessment and look at internal controls for the purposes of planning those audits and determining our audit procedures from that point. For the federal awards audit, we're required to select federal programs that have expenditures that cover over 40% of the city's expenditures of federal awards. This year, the program that was selected that met that coverage was the Airport Improvement Program. And our opinion on compliance was that the city complied in all material respects with that program. We did have one finding that was deemed not material to compliance, but significant enough to bring to the attention to the city council. And that was with respect to reports that were required to be submitted. There were some quarterly reports and one annual report that's a Department of Transportation report that was required to be submitted. And it was an oversight that those reports were not submitted to the Department of Transportation. And the city management, this isn't a part of our auditor's report, but the city management will be preparing a corrective action plan that they normally discuss in the work session that Paul mentioned. That's the audit report on the federal awards. On the state compliance, we're required to follow the Utah State Compliance Audit Guide that the State Auditor's Office publishes every year. And there were 8 compliance areas or topics that we were required to audit with respect to the compliance audit. Our opinion on that audit is also an unmodified or a clean opinion that the city complied in all material respects. There was also one finding there that we reported in internal controls, and that had to do with quarterly financial reports being submitted to the city council. There were 2 of the quarterly reports during the year that we were unable to find any evidence the quarterly report was submitted to the city council. That concludes all of the findings from the audit. We'd be happy to take any questions.
Thank you. Any questions for Alana or Paul?
Thank you.
I guess I'll just ask, do you want to give us our bling now or in the work session? Or?
That would impair our independence.
I would imagine. Yeah, I know. I debated on asking, but I thought, what are the chances? No.
Bailey buckles aren't as cool as those.
I bet, yeah. No, we do get to your comment about the pain, what you called the good pain of what our staff went through.
Yeah.
I don't know if they would agree that it's good pain or not, but it certainly has led to good things for us, and we have not had to feel the pain, but we are sure lucky to have those that did. So thanks for sharing that report.
Thanks.
Okay, we do need to take action on this item this evening to accept or not accept for review.
Chair, I will make a motion that we accept for review the fiscal year 2019 audit report.
Second.
We have a motion by Council Member Heyer, second by Vice Chair Chaburka to accept the audit report for review. This is a voice vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes. Thank you so much for coming this evening. We'll see you again soon. We'll get into the weeds. Okay, next item, and for those that are waiting for public comment, we'll get to you. We just want, when we invite people to be on our agenda, we always want to hold that time, but we do want to honor your time, so we'll get to you right after this last request to be on the agenda, which is Lisa Stout and fiscal year 2019 comprehensive annual financial report. Speaking of those who have felt the pain, so.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. It's a pleasure to deliver the comprehensive annual financial report on time. It has been submitted to the State Auditor's Office. We've also submitted to the Certificate of Excellence with GFOA. So we hope to, again, have that credentialed in our financial statements. Bailey did an excellent job in helping us push that hard couple of weeks to finish up the audit and get it completed on time. I'd also just like to thank administration, my staff, and all of the employees of the city. When you call it a comprehensive annual financial report, there's a lot more than just financial numbers in there. It really takes a village to raise a Kaffir. You have accepted this for review, and I know your staff diligently reviews it, and I look forward to discussing it with you further in February. I am pleased. I feel that the city is in better financial condition than it was in the prior year. Thank you.
Thanks, Lisa.
Thank you, Lisa. Any questions for Lisa?
Just how long did it take you to come up with that joke? That was
That was good.
I know. Who says accountants aren't funny, huh?
Yeah, I know.
Jay laughed. Wow. Jay never laughs. He only scowls.
It's getting late.
Okay. Thank you, Lisa. Council, we do, again, need to take action to accept or not accept for review the CAFR.
Chair, I'll make a motion that we accept the 2019 CAFR for review.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilmember Heyer, seconded first by Councilmember Blair to accept the fiscal year 2019 comprehensive annual financial report for review. This also is a voice vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes. Lisa, thank you. You are beyond belief at times, honestly. And same goes to your team. I don't know how you guys do it, but we sure appreciate that you do. Next item on our agenda is public comment. Again, just to reiterate, this is not public comment related to the items that are in our public hearings, which is the fiscal year 2020 budget amendment for the Swift building demolition or the proposed vacation of Center Avenue. But for all other items in which you wish to comment on, this is your opportunity.
Thank you.
My name is George Zinn, Z-I-N-N, for the record.
And if you'll limit your comments to 3 minutes.
Yeah, I'll do it. I'll keep it down as much as I can.
Before we start the clock, we're having some technical difficulties. So.
There you go.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So
all right. Am I ready?
Yeah.
Okay. I feel honored to come up here. I was up here for, of course, the inauguration of Brad Mortensen. And, you know, this is a bonus for me to be able to address the council since I'm already here. And I've been a citizen of Ogden for years and years. You know, I'm actually sitting in the building that my grandfather built, which is an honor to me. Leslie Hodgson built this as one of many buildings, and Ogden High, you know, was named one of the top 10 in the state, which is a great honor for this city. But what I'm concerned about is, you know, I read about recently about this situation with the locomotive 223 down at the railroad. And my dad, being a railroad man, is very close to my heart. And, you know, I hate to see this kind of thing just disappear over time and these things deteriorate. I think it was a thrill when the world came here last May to see this big boy come in on May 9th in our city, you know, and we became the landmark for the whole state of Utah. It was just wonderful. And I was, you know, I was boosting my buttons were just going nuts, you know, because it was anyway. But I'd like to see what could be resolved with this, because, you know, I'm concerned about the issues with the Union Station and the deterioration of these great locomotives. They're off to the side where, you know, the public cannot see them. And, you know, I just want to see this thing thrive as a personal citizen, being that my dad was a railroad man and worked at the yard office for years and years. So I am the son of a railroad man. And, you know, this industry, you know, I'd like to see it just be, I'd like to see what the council can do to make sure that we keep these things going. You know, the Ogden Locomotive Festival is one of the best in the country, you know, for the hobbyists that want to come in. And anyway, you know, I'm just concerned about, you know, the situation. You know, I hear that they might want to move it to a Salt Lake Museum or whatever. You know, I'm just getting what I get from the news. But being that, you know, I love the Ogden Union Station, I just like to see these locomotives have an opportunity to thrive and stay here, make them safe, some way to restore them so that people can go back and the public can see these things. They're stashed away where the public can't see them. So anyway, that's just my concern. If anybody has any questions or anything to direct at me, I'd be pleased to hear it. But that's my concern, because, you know, I heard this on the news and it was, you know, it was close to me because, you know, of course I come from a railroad family. So.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you bet.
Thank you.
If I've, yep,
what's that?
You stayed right underneath 3 minutes, so
right
nice job.
3 minutes.
Thank
Good
you.
job.
Okay, you bet.
So, Mayor, is there anything you wanted to add in response to that?
I don't have an update on that. Okay. That's gone back and forth, and there have been a few different agencies that have been working on that, but I don't have a current update. I wrote it in my notebook, and we'll look into that. Yeah, we'll look into that.
I do feel comfortable saying, if you'll if you're okay with it, that and it kind of dovetails with some of the comments I made when we took the oath of office, that I know there's more to whatever's happening in this issue than what we were reading in the news. There always is, but that the people that are involved there's no ulterior motive. I've heard a lot of people ask me, what's behind this, but I don't think anybody wants to see that happen and see it go away. There's good people working on this.
We're one of the best in the country and the last for this kind of a...
Yeah, and I know who's working on the administrative side, and I know what their motives are, and their motives are purely for the betterment of this city. So thanks for taking the note, and I hope we'll get an update for these guys.
We will absolutely do that.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good night. Hi, welcome back.
Hi, thanks. My name is Julia Aldrich, and I appreciate being able to address the council today. So apparently over the weekend there was a rumor started that the Marshall White Center was closing, and a great big petition. I don't know if y'all heard about this. I heard about it today. And a petition that has gone nationwide on Facebook trying to save the Marshall White Center. And it's basically just a rumor as far as I can tell, as far as I know. But it has served to bring up the fact and bring the attention back to the fact that a significant part of the Marshall White Center is closed. And because that significant part of the Marshall White Center is closed, that has fueled the rumors that the entire center may be closing, or the entire center is at least at risk. And so I'm here to really try and push to get the entire Marshall White Center to stay open, and to open the pool again, and to become the part of the community that it once was. It's lost so much of what it did contribute to the community, because so much of it is closed. So we really need to address that and create that community center that this community deserves, and that the families of this community deserve. And that's kind of fallen by the way. So this petition is just kind of, it was a good opportunity to bring the focus back to the Marshall White, and to strengthen the part of this community that's missing. And that needs to be supported. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Like you, I didn't know about this petition until today either. I've been kind of making a habit to not spend much time on social media. But Ralph, before you come up, Mayor, is there anything you wanted to add to that?
Sure. We were alarmed to see that as well, and we put a bunch of information out, including the fact that we spent $421,000 on a brand new roof last year. We just put in a brand new jazz basketball court, a Real soccer court. And we have a community meeting later in the next couple of weeks up at Weber State to get ideas for what we can do. The cost of the pool right now is we do not have the funding to put $2 million into that, so we're looking at options and talking about that, and talking about some of the recreation options that we have. But we'd encourage you to go participate in that community meeting and let your ideas be heard. We don't know where the rumor came up and how that came out, but we're absolutely committed to Marshall White, and we wouldn't make those kinds of investments like we have over the last year if that wasn't a priority for us. So appreciate your comments, and know that we're still looking at options and ways to bring more life and more opportunity into Marshall White.
Thank you, Mayor.
Okay.
Welcome back, Ralph.
Hey, how you doing?
You know I'm good.
Ralph Price, 636 6th Street. First of all, congratulations to you guys again for being reelected. I bring from the other part of the community, which is the homeless and the people that are distraught and everything. Congratulations, Ben. They remember when you came out shaking hands with me and this mayor. They remember you just going ahead and making special comments to come out. Remember you too going out and Mr. Leah Lopez and meeting at restaurants and stuff and seeing you. I want you to know that me as a person, having had heart-to-heart and liver surgeries and everything, appreciate your phone call in my hospital bed, knowing that you showing that this window is real, that you're concerned. that you have shown over the times. Traberka, all of you, Stevens, that every time we come to a meeting, you're always welcome. Come out the bus on a snowstorm, and there's a Councilor White, and she takes the time to talk to me while we get on to the next bus, so I can try to get going. Coming down 7th Street and everything, in the middle of the night and everything, and stop, and he takes his son and him disappear. Next thing, they're getting flickers to put on my chair so I don't get hit. And so I can get back here and I can once again advocate that you guys don't remember the negatives and everything, but remember the good things that you did this last year and put forth such an effort to be able to make such a movement that we did in the lives of others. I just had to go out with President Taggart right now because it was O-Town. That's right, I got one too, you guys.
All right.
But it was OTEC that started the conversation. So we'll be able to send and be the first in the nation. Mortensen and I meet again tomorrow, and we've already had 3 meetings, and I met with the vice president up there, the provost, and 16 of the deans. And we're going to make it happen so that we can send people that are zero income, not low income, zero income. And we're going to send them to Weber Tech, and we're going to get those certifications so they don't have to work alongside with people with $20 and $30 in benefits and stuff for $7 and $8. They have to crowd their 5- and 6-member kids into a 1-bedroom apartment and call themselves not homeless anymore, but we just created a new poor class right there that's waiting to go back out onto the street because $7 an hour won't feed them. $7 an hour won't feed them and pay for the power bill. $7 an hour won't feed them, pay for the power bill, and pay for the place. So they're going back down unless we get them that little piece of paper that lets them have the competitive job things. We did a great job this last year, but don't let me catch you walking without me going ahead and tip your shoulder again and say, hey, what are we going to do this year? Okay, and I just want to congratulate you, but I also want to bring the thanks and the condolences from some of the people that are out there in this. That you made a big manufacturing difference in their lives in this, and we're just happy to say that we got just many out there. But thank you very much. And they got machines to keep me coming, guys, so I'm not going quite yet.
Thank you, Ralph.
Thanks, Ralph.
Like President Taggart.
I got to say this, too, before you kick me out of here. We just lost a legend, and Mr. Saxophone himself. Okay? And we got to remember that within inside of the Marshall White Center, how important that is for being Marshall White, Deputy White, and what that's named for Joe McQueen. Joe McQueen, we should have a statue right there underneath the thing right there talking about what a contribution he has done for the city of Ogden, state of Utah. But we've lost a legend. And there's no way, or shape, or form we shouldn't do something in honor of Joe McQueen's life. And that will be in recognition for all the minorities, Hispanic or whatever, that has done so much. And Leonel Lopez that worked here, Katina Martinez that worked here. My mother, Ruby Price, and Annabelle Manson. All these people are dying off. These people are people that worked hard for Ogden City that were minorities. And Ben, go to the barbecues of us minorities. Watch out, it might be poison barbecue if you don't do something.
No poison in that. No poison in that chicken that night, Ralph. Thank you.
Okay.
You always give a nice little sneak peek into what we did, huh? Hey, President Taggart said that you get to wear this if you've earned it. There's no one in Ogden that's earned it more than you have. You ain't no drugstore cowboy when you wear that, my friend. Okay? I know, man. You ain't no drugstore cowboy, baby. I know. I'll know all about it. I know all about it.
We call him White Chocolate, by the way.
This is true. It's one of my many proud titles. Anybody else care to address the council?
Angel Castillo, Chair White Chocolate. That's very funny. I'd like to congratulate everybody on their running and re-election, and thank you for your service. It's not an easy job, and there's a lot that a lot of people have no idea what really happens in city council meetings because they don't have the luxury of being able to go to the 4 o'clock work sessions. So I'd like to bring back emphasis again to the Marshall White Center. And while I'm sure you can realize what a hot issue this is for the community, Fox 13 is doing a special because this rumor got started. There are 3,300 people who have signed a change.org's petition. And I've been talking about it for the last year, as well as those 45 ladies from Fern's Happy Hour, which meet at the Marshall White Center every Wednesday for lunch. It's very, very important, and I think I appreciate that the administration put out that no, it's not closing. But what I don't appreciate is the fact that they're being reactive as opposed to proactive with setting out a mission. We've been talking about this for over a year. People wouldn't be thinking it's a rumor if there was a real solution on board. Mr. Johnson has said in previous city council meetings that, well, we're looking at a YMCA possibility, and that's all that's really been said about it. I think what the community wants and what I would like is a definitive answer. And I am well aware that our budget does not have the money to cover it. And I am pleased at Vice Chair Chaburka's social media post where what our options are and where they are. And I fully support that it needs to be a community anchor institution effort nationwide. And I talked about this earlier. I think we really need to, as a city, remember what social infrastructure is. And if you're not familiar with social infrastructure, I have referred to it in a previous meeting. It's a book called Palaces for the People by sociologist Eric Kleinenberg. And we need to have places for people to gather where they don't have to pay for coffee to be there, or places where they can be connected to their community and have access to healthful activities to better their life. I know that Councilmember Heyer is a big proponent on blue cities and places for health, and that ties right into that. We need to make sure that the community knows that they are supported by the council and the administration with the importance of this building, and there needs to be clear communication as to where everybody is. You wouldn't have a social media crisis fire to put out about a rumor if there was a more open and clear communicative process of here is where we are and this is what we're doing. And I understand that government moves very slowly, but people want to be informed, and this is where we need to be. And I highly recommend that all of the council members fully support reopening the pool and making sure that the Marshall White Center is fully operational for the community it serves.
Thank you, Angel. Welcome, Malik.
Malik Dio. I live here in Ogden, 26th and Jackson. The Marshall White, this is being quoted from change.org, the petition that's going around. The Marshall White Center opened its doors to the community it serves in 1968. The Marshall White Center is a community recreation center in Ogden named in honor of Utah's first black police officer to be killed in the line of duty, Detective Sergeant Marshall N. White, a military veteran whose watch ended October of 1963. Ogden's it's the first home to Ogden's first Head Start program. For 51 years, the center has been a multi-generational landmark in the lives of Ogden City's children, the baby boomers, Generation X, and the millennials. For 5 decades, the facility has encapsulated the hearts of the inner city youth, to whom it has provided a safe haven and oftentimes a place of refuge with a plethora of services, including but not limited to numerous programs providing youth with structured after-school and summer programs, culinary classes, recreational classes with focus on health and fitness. The facility includes a gym complete with basketball court and boxing ring, a weight and exercise room, park grounds with tennis courts, basketball courts. Lastly, but not least, there is an indoor pool that has been closed for more than a year due to structural damage that would be catastrophic without repair. Estimates of restoration have been quoted at $500,000, an amount that the building's owner-operator, Ogden City Corporation, has been reluctant to fund despite its fiscal year 2020 budget of $186,178,525. Now, $500,000 is the price of a home here in Ogden. If you can't fork that out, I'm just disgusted at the leadership here who doesn't want to fork out that amount to make those repairs. And I have one more thing to say. Arrest rates by ethnicity in Ogden were last reported in an editorial in the Standard Examiner in July of 2010, in which former Chief Greiner responded to. It stated that the Latinx population in Ogden at the time was 23.6%. The Ogden police had reported that Hispanic juveniles accounted for 53.7% of their arrests during that period. Latinx juveniles were getting arrested at twice their total population rate in Ogden. That was 10 years ago. Where do we stand today?
Thank you. Anybody else care to address the council? Okay. That puts us to the next item on our agenda, which is approval of minutes. For the minutes of the special meeting of June 11th, 2019, and the regular meeting of June 25th, 2019. Councilmember Blair.
Yes, thank you, Chair Nadolski. I have reviewed both those minutes and found them to be accurate.
Thank you. Minutes of the joint work session of July 30th, 2019, and the regular meeting of August 20th, 2019. Councilmember Heyer.
Yes, Chair, I've reviewed those minutes and found them to be accurate to the best of my recollection.
Minutes of the closed sessions of May 28th and September 10th, 2019, and the regular meeting of July 16th, 2019. Councilmember Lopez.
Yes, Chair, the minutes are correct.
For the minutes of the work sessions of August 20th and September 3rd, 2019, Councilmember Stevens.
They're correct, Chair.
Thank you. For the minutes of the regular meeting of September 3rd, 2019, and the work session of September 10th, 2019, Councilmember White.
Yes, I've reviewed both of those minutes, and I just so you know that I was a little confused of the work session because it got over at 10:47 that night, and so I have read those, and I motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilmember White to approve the minutes, and a second by Councilmember Blair, along with a comment of how long our meeting was.
40. Well, the first one was 9:24, in case anybody.
Thank you. This is a voice vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes. Thank you for those who stayed up late reading minutes about being up late. Next item on our agenda is common consent. We have listed the consideration of setting a public hearing for designating 159 West 2nd Street as a local historic resource.
Chair, I will go ahead and make a motion that we adopt the item listed under common consent, setting the public hearing for January 21st, 2020.
Second. We have a motion by Councilmember Blair, seconded by Councilmember Heyer to set the public hearing for January 21st, 2020. This is a voice vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That also passes. Thank you. Two public hearings. First is, I believe, fiscal year 2020 budget amendment for the Swift building demolition. This will be presented by Lisa Stout, I believe. Thanks.
Thank you. Again, it's a pleasure to be here with you this evening. The ordinance before you tonight is an ordinance to adopt an additional $812,975 to the city budget. This would be proposed as a transfer to the redevelopment agency to help with the costs over at the Swift building. Just some background and history on the Swift building. The city purchased this property in 2018, I believe. The original budget adopted by council was just over 2.2 million. After the purchase, the asbestos abatement and site work, there currently is just a little over $1 million left in that appropriation. The city currently has a bid to help tear down and clear the site. The demolition costs came in at $1.4 million with $117 for bank stabilization. Additionally, now that the asbestos was been cleaned up so that they could go in and clean out the building before it is torn down, we need to do some additional asbestos testing. And then there are some underground tanks that need to be dealt with. Additionally, we're proposing a contingency of just over $200,000 for this project. And this is just for the demolition. This doesn't address any other issues except for the demolition of this building. In order to meet the budget needs for the demolition, we're proposing a use of BDO lease revenue. Currently, there is $2.8 million of unappropriated lease revenue. The ask before you is $812,975,000. The administration does have plans to come back and ask council for additional appropriations from that money, and I've listed those up there for you to review. With this additional $812,000, it will give a revised budget of $1.8 million, which will be sufficient for the demolition and the rest of the project to get the building torn down. Any questions?
Any questions for Lisa?
So do you mind just going back one more slide? I just couldn't pull it up as fast to the list of other requests.
Absolutely.
While she's reviewing that and potentially formulating a question,
Thank you.
You're welcome. I got your back. I have a question about the contingency. I'm personally a fan of contingencies because I don't like to continue to come back and spend more than we had anticipated. So I'd like to have a larger number up front. But we have heard from council members in the past with contingencies. How can we find out when this project closes? If that contingency was used, and if so, how much, and how much remains before we see where the administration proposes it's spent?
Absolutely. Upon council requests or at any time, administration would be willing to pull those numbers and provide them to council.
Okay. I don't know that we'll know when the project formally closes, so we won't know when to ask. But
timing-wise on the demo?
It's our intent to give an information item to you when the project closes, so that you'll have full accountability of what we do and what we spend, and then what we would propose if there's money remaining.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Did you have a question for Lisa? Okay. Okay, this is a public hearing, so this is your opportunity, and if you care to address the council on the fiscal year 2020 budget amendment for the Swift building demolition.
Oh, careful, Benny.
Our old chair, my chair got ripped by UTA. Having been a person that's been in the fields of hazardous waste and everything, I'm concerned with the appropriations that's been for asbestos removal out of the Swift building, and exposure being for the surrounding community, and actual cleanup of and where those materials will be going. Will it be certified out, and will it be put in containers and dealt with separately from the other things that are as they tear down that building? And I haven't worked on the ones when we redid the Capitol, when we redid Salt Lake Community College from South High and turned it into, and there was a lot of work. But I see that this building here and the appropriated funds that are looking for it and everything is way underneath the amount that we did now was a few years ago, and so it might cost more than whatever. But I have a concern with the EPA and how it's effectual going to be for the asbestos removal and how that's going to affect that area down there, or what they're going to do and how they're going to do it.
Thanks, Ralph. I know you have very personal reasons for concern and some personal consequences to the exposures in the past. Brandon, is there anything you'd like to add in response to that, or to help with address that comment? I know we're governed by laws that now that maybe we weren't back then. I don't know.
Exactly. Concern, which is why asbestos abatement and the removal of it is highly regulated. Asbestos is not harmful until it becomes friable, which means that it's broken up and turned into a powder form, which then becomes airborne and gets into your lungs. And so we follow all the state regulations. It's monitored and regulated by the DAQ, so they have oversight over the project. We hire certified contractors. It is separated, disposed of to a special facility. There's a waste manifest that is documented that tracks the waste from the site to the facility. And again, it's all bagged and tagged, so to speak, so it doesn't become airborne. And we've already remediated over $500,000 worth of this in that building. This appropriation is for the residual that we found since the EPA cleanup. And so most of it is gone. The residual amount will be taken care of as we did the original amount.
Great. Thank you, Brandon. Appreciate that response. Environmental contamination is not something you want to cut corners on for cost, that's for sure.
Wow, that's interesting. It's an Instagram filter.
It's like a retro throwback night.
It's like orange.
Better than Snapchat one.
Okay, Angel Castillo.
Scary movie.
I have a lot of questions. One of them is because it's not clear in information that's available. We've seen some articles in the paper that there's going to be an aerospace industry at that. Do we have a signed development deal for this? Are we going to be in a situation where we were when we purchased other pieces of property and done work and then nobody comes in? I'm not a big fan of appropriating money unless there is an absolute signed development deal saying that, yes, this is happening. And if they drop out, what are those ramifications? I'm also not a big fan of the last few projects we've done. We always seem to be having additional money asked for. I, too, am a big fan of contingency plans to help do this. And in the business world, if you had a department that continually came back to you saying that, well, we're going to need more money, I'm completely wrong, and this is how much it's going to cost. And there's a lot of that with this building. What this building was supposed to cost and what it ended up costing are two different things. And I really want to make sure that we have accountability for that. And then when we look at, $2,889,795 in unappropriated BDO lease money, if we're moving forward with a deal, these things have to happen. But I'm, again, not a fan of having to pay for demolition before somebody else is there. And I also want to know how much tax credits are going in with this particular thing. What is this really going to cost our citizens with regards to revenue? And again, looking at that BDO lease, I have a feeling that when Malik was here and he was talking about the pool, I mean, I've heard numbers for the pool being $2 million. There's a lot of money that I don't think we necessarily have to be putting business development as over people and over community. I believe it needs to be a delicate balance of both. And the Swift building has just been a debacle with how everything is unfolded. And we are where we are, and we have to continue moving forward. And while we're looking for more money that's being asked for, what happens when the EPA comes back? And in the article in the Standard said they were estimating $2 million in abatement. What is that? Is that going to be requested from you again as an additional cost for this building? I just would like some clarity as to what we're asking for, that we are guaranteed as citizens that there's a business going in there, and then if they back out, that there's going to be some sort of remuneration for fees of what we're putting in for demolition. Thank you.
Thank you. I think that's back to Brandon again, if you're willing to come answer some of those concerns.
Thanks. There's a lot to unpack in that comment. I don't know if we have all the time tonight to do it. So, Angel, I'll give you my card after we're done, and you and I can speak privately and answer all of those questions. But just generally, I think that despite what you hear in the media, if you go back to the origination of this project and look at the activities that have taken place thus far, we are exactly where we intended to be back then. And that's a documented evidence. Look at the meeting notes, look at the agendas that have taken place. We've had a number of meetings around this subject for a couple of years now. And so I think as I look at this project, we're exactly where we intended to be. The scale and the magnitude is different because at the origination of this, we didn't have an idea of what the scale and magnitude was going to be. And we admitted that. We didn't buy the property, and you all know this because you were there and made the decision to go forward. We didn't collectively buy the property with the intent to immediately turn around and sell it. The fact that we have a buyer, and that buyer will bring 100 jobs out of state and will be a targeted industry in one of our targeted clusters, is a wonderful opportunity for us to capitalize on. But if you recall, our original intent on this project was to protect the public health and safety. Just today, I learned that the 8,500 gallon tank that was removed 20 feet from the riverbank was leaking. And the gravel bed that it was placed in was a pathway to the river for however long that tank's been there, which has probably been since the 70s. So there's a lot we can talk about in terms of what we knew and what we didn't know. I have been on this project since its conception. And again, we have documented evidence that tells us that we are exactly where we intended to be. And the request for additional funding is part of the strategy, because we are trying to bite this giant or eat this giant elephant one bite at a time. So it might seem that we're coming back over and over and nickeling and diming this project, but that's not the case. We don't know what the next phase is going to bring. We know what the demolition phase is telling us, and that's what Lisa proposed. We still have a soil and groundwater component that needs to be cleaned up. We don't know what that phase is going to bring us in terms of cost or scope. When we do, we'll come back and we'll work out a plan. But I'm happy to go into way more detail than that, but I'm very confident that we're exactly where we're at when we did this. We're exactly where we intended to be when we started this, and the outcomes are going as planned.
Thank you, Brandon. Any other comments for the council related to this item?
Chair, I have a quick question, and it's probably Lisa. The CMAC match, we're waiting on the award notice. What does that mean? I'm sorry, could you explain that real quick?
Sorry, is that related to the public comment on?
No, it's not. I didn't know. Okay.
The city has applied for an additional CMAT grant, and the match, the portion, is $40,000 the city has to come up with. So we've kind of earmarked that as something to move forward when the award comes. I'm not aware that we've received the award yet. Jay, have you? So I'll check with engineering tomorrow and see if they have additional information. But as far as I know, we have not received the award yet.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry.
That's okay. Let's, if there's no more comments from the public, let's entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion by Councilmember Heyer, second by Councilmember Blair to close the public hearing. This is a voice vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Public hearing is closed. Sorry, Councilmember.
Sorry, I didn't.
No problem. Do you have additional questions?
I didn't want to get by that without asking my questions.
No, relevant question for sure. Any more questions? Okay. Other council members, any more questions for administration or staff?
I feel compelled a little bit to make some comments about my own motivation, I guess, and justifications for what I have done with regards, the votes that I have put forward with respects to this Swift building project. And comparing it, I don't think maybe it's fair, but I don't feel like it's fair to compare it to a business, a business decision that a business would make with regards to something like this. This is an issue that absolutely is a public safety, public well-being issue in my mind. It always has been. Knowing that it has been a repository for unknown witches brews and whatever, because it was just a place to take whatever came out of the lot that Bert Smith bought that couldn't be sold. And we took the best information that we had. We knew we didn't know some stuff. I think we'd have to admit that. But we did best guesses and guessed high or low, or depending on how we did that. I think that because the city has taken this on, the city is in a better place today. That hazard is significantly eliminated, if not completely eliminated. It's wonderful that we have a developer that has signed the agreement. That's fair to say. Is it signed now?
Letter of intent and timeline has all been agreed to.
Okay, so yeah, I can't. He likes to sit behind that post. He doesn't like to make eye. But I just didn't feel like we really had a choice. I think we had to move forward on that. Maybe it wasn't a great business decision, but I think as a municipality, as a city, I think we had to. So if it had stayed in private hands, it may be decades before that thing have ever got cleaned up, and it would have been a significantly more serious problem for the city, and we wouldn't have had the opportunities that we currently do. So that's. I just wanted to say that.
Thank you,
Mr. Chair. To go along with that, I think since the river is right next to that, as well as most of us here, what possibilities that would be if the contaminants got into that river there, and what the magnitude would be to clean not only the site, now we have to clean up a river.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. In fact, just wasn't that long ago that we were cleaning up a major cleanup site related to the kerosene pinch gas DNAPL that was coming from the legacy effects from the railroad, and just the cost and the impact of that, which probably paled in comparison to what the contamination could be from a catastrophic failure at this location. Now that we know what we know, it's scary to consider the impacts to public health and safety, not to mention to the natural environment that we are building our future around. So, any other questions or comments from other council members? Okay, I guess we are able to entertain a motion or action on this item.
Well, I guess I'll make that motion then. I would make a motion that we adopt proposed ordinance 2019-55.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilmember Heyer, second by Councilmember Lopez to adopt proposed ordinance 2019-55. This is a roll call vote.
Councilmember Blair.
Aye.
Councilmember Heyer.
Aye.
Councilmember Lopez.
Aye.
Councilmember Stevens.
Aye.
Councilmember White.
Aye.
Vice Chair Traburka.
Aye.
Chair Nadolski.
Aye. That passes. Just to put some comments to the end of this item, Brandon said we're right where we had intended to be from the beginning. I don't know that as we started this, we all knew exactly where we were going to begin with, but I think we've all learned some things along the way. And I personally, I won't forget the first time that we talked about this issue and this item, and the uncomfort I think we all had, but the willingness to proceed knowing that we had a risk there. And we felt like there was a risk that was at this level and it was going to cost us this much to address. But since that time, the risk level is here. And that's required us to spend this much to address. And so for me personally, reflecting on my own accountability, much like you did, I think back to the time that I spent working alongside Justin Anderson in the river restoration of the Ogden River, and the many people that contributed to that project, and some of the hard decisions the city had to make at the time. Starting off with the $1 million grant from the federal government on with some incentive monies to start the project that ended up being $6 million, and knowing that we had a lot of more legacy pollution and effects to go, and then ultimately finding ways to get it done. It wasn't easy, but I think we'd all look back on it now and say, we're sure glad we did the hard things. And there were really hard things that happened on that project time and time again. And so, I'm not always thrilled to have to spend more money, but in retrospect, in hindsight, I still feel like I've learned more, and I'd still make the same decision regardless of the cost. Even at this point, it's just too much to bear the consequences of not taking the action, in my view. And I take our stewardship of our money very, very seriously, but I would put that second place to the stewardship of the health and safety of this community too.
That was kind of what I was trying to get to, is that, it isn't entirely about the money. If it was all about the money, this was a terrible business decision. But because of the other issues, it made this thing not only palatable, but almost necessary and required of us to do this. I congratulate each of you for the decisions you made with regards to this. Even though they were hard, they were unpalatable, and it was just a tough thing. It was just a hard thing, but it turned out good.
Time will pass. We'll see what is, and we'll remember what was. Mm-hmm. And the pain that we're feeling now, I guess we're back to that theme, I hope will pass, and we'll be thankful for what we've done. So, Brandon, thanks for staying with it. We actually have really gone back and reviewed the record. We've listened to the words, we've read the words, and we've reflected on our own accountability. And you have been honest and forthright in our estimation, so we appreciate that. Doesn't mean it's been ugly or been pretty or been easy, that's for sure. So, okay. Next item is proposed vacation of Center Avenue. We'll be hearing from our own Greg Montgomery on that item.
Mr. Chair and members of the council, this is a petition that had been filed by Fresenius Medical regarding the Center Avenue. The Planning Commission reviewed this request, which was to vacate the remaining portion of Center Avenue from 17th Street to the north. Fresenius has acquired all the property surrounding this section of Center Avenue to be vacated. And so, therefore, no one is adversely impacted by the closure of this street. The only item that is of concern is the main sewer line that runs through that area, and an easement would be retained, which would be this 49-foot width of the Center Avenue. But that is nothing new, as we've vacated other portions of Center Avenue, as you see here. Over time, that same easement has been required all the way through, and so as development has happened with the Fresenius campus, that easement has always been maintained and clear of buildings, so that if maintenance is needed on that sewer line as far as any digging or construction work, it would not impact buildings. It would impact maybe some parking or circulation, and that's why that easement is important to retain in Center Avenue. One of the things that the commission looks at is the good cause of why do we vacate a street. And so as we looked at that, and this is also kind of consistent with the Gibson Community Plan, knowing that manufacturing business is a key part of that area and of the community, to allow Fresenius to continue to be able to expand and meet their needs of their business model. Also, that with the ownership, the other properties are not being adversely impacted in terms of their access, and that the sewer line would be preserved and not impacted also by vacating it, by the retention of the easement. It was felt that the Planning Commission looked at this, looked at the acquisition of other properties, that there was a good cause now to vacate it. And so in their recommendation to you, they voted 7-0 to recommend your consideration of vacating this remaining section of Center Avenue from 17th Street north. Any questions?
Any questions for Mr. Montgomery?
Greg, what are they going to use that property for?
Well, this is the petitioner is here today, so they can address that also. But if kind of look at that photo, as they're acquiring all the property to Gibson Avenue, it really is to be able to have their complete campus available for expansion, new buildings, the circulation needs to take place with the processes they have. This is all needed as part of that campus to make it a viable continuing business in Ogden City.
So if they put a building on there, what does that do with the easement?
Well, they can't put a building on the easement. The easement they'll have to keep clear, but that will be a paved area for circulation between buildings.
Okay. Any other questions for Greg? Thank you, Greg. It is common practice for us to offer an opportunity for the petitioner a few moments to address the council.
Thank you, Council. I'm Britt Barton. I represent Fresenius Medical Care, and in answer to your question, we will maintain that easement and that thoroughfare all the way through our campus. The master plan, as we master plan for the next 10, 15, 20 years, we do want to continue to grow and expand our manufacturing abilities here in the Ogden area, and we have a huge need for parking throughout our campus. So initial plans are to use that property for parking, but to also secure our campus too. So we've had a couple close calls and instances on our campus where we've had people that were trespassing onto our campus, and we do have a lot of equipment, a lot of technology, and there could be a lot of damage to our industry. So yeah, I'm willing to share our master plans. I do want to throw an endorsement out for the OTEC, why they were here. Again, we partner with them very, very closely. They are very, very important to industry in the Ogden area, and I do have the privilege of serving as a board trustee for tech colleges for the Utah State Board of Education, and so I'm working very closely with the technical colleges, and there's good things coming from the tech colleges. There's good things coming from the Department of Education, and working together and collaborating. So we do appreciate that relationship, and they're very important to building our future workforce. I also want to thank the Ogden staff, Ogden City employee staff that has helped us and collaborated with us throughout the years. The Economic Development, the Planning Commission, the Public Works, they work very, very well with us. You got a great staff, and they work very well, and they're collaborating with us on future expansions, on our master plan. So I really want to reach out and publicly thank that staff, because they're incredible to work with. And I'm here to answer any other questions. Yeah.
Any questions for petitioner? No. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And we agree with your comments about the staff. Appreciate it. All evidence to the contrary, Jay Louder does smile. That's evidence tonight, that one time.
I've seen him mad a few times, and I've seen him smile.
That's right. He's a complex man of many emotions. Okay. This too is a public hearing. If anybody cares to address the council on this item, now is your opportunity.
Louder here? Didn't even notice that. Hey, Jay. All right.
You didn't hear the smile?
Yeah, I didn't know that. All right. Okay, well, I just want to say this, is that Ralph Price again, 636 6th Street, 77. As I read this thing, it was that we were going to be talking about creating the roof size and line options and establishing the building lengths for multiple public family dwellings, buildings on the 12th Street overlay. And I don't hear anything in that.
That's the next item.
Okay, so I'm ahead some way. Yeah. Okay, so we're up here on...
We're on item 5B.
Oh, 5B.
Yes, sir.
Okay, never mind. Hi, Jay, anyway.
There's not going to be
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Sorry, buddy.
Well, me and Housing.
I do know you in housing. Anyone else care to comment on proposed vacation of Center Avenue? Okay, I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Anybody care to second that? Thank you. We have a motion by Councilmember Heyer, second by Councilmember Blair to close the public hearing. This is a voice vote. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Voice. The public hearing is closed. I'll entertain action on the item.
Chair, I would make a motion that we adopt ordinance 2019-54.
Second. We have a motion by Councilmember Heyer, second by Councilmember Lopez to adopt proposed ordinance 2019-54. This is a roll call vote.
Councilmember Heyer.
Aye.
Councilmember Lopez.
Aye.
Councilmember Stevens.
Aye.
Councilmember White.
Aye.
Councilmember Blair.
Aye.
Vice Chair Chaburka.
Aye.
Chair Nadolski.
Aye. That passes. Thank you, staff. Have a good night, Greg and Jay.
Greg.
Yeah, Greg.
One more. Oh, that's right. You're right. See, now I'm off. It's like it's 10:30 again, Marcia.
I know. It's almost there.
Okay.
Not really.
Next item on our agenda, amending the 12th Street overlay zone. Thank you, Greg.
I was interested to see what color this would come up as I noticed him working on this.
The vintage filter has gone home for them.
Yeah. This item is an item that's been generated by the planning staff over the years as we've looked at the 12th Street overlay when it was first developed with the widening of 12th Street. The intent was to try to be able to take a look at how we could accomplish development in those parcels that were created with the widening, where some of the homes were removed or left vacant areas. Some areas had not been developed, and in collaboration with many of the citizens who lived in that area, the overlay was developed. That overlay, as you see on this map, is that cross-hashed area, which runs along all the properties from Adams to the mouth of the canyon that have frontage on 12th Street. The overlay zone works in a way that it allows the property owner to make a decision. Do they want to use the zoning that's underneath the property and whatever it allows, or do they want to meet the additional criteria of the 12th Street overlay and develop under it? And so it was a new concept that we had introduced back when the 12th Street corridor was developed. It talked about design of buildings, the materials used, the compatibility of the area, and it broke the 12th Street corridor into sections below Harrison and above Harrison, each having a kind of a different feel to it in how development had taken place and how development would be perceived in the future taking place. As we have gone over many times with this overlay, we've been doing tweaks as we see different things happen. Either potential developers have made petitions, or we have seen some things as development has taken place saying we need to make a modification. In this case, the two things we're looking at, we noticed that there was a difference between the commercial standards and the residential standards in this overlay zone. Both are allowed uses in the overlay, and we've seen more people lately trying to take advantage of the residential portion of that. As developments and projects have been brought forth, though, we noticed some errors or some things we felt were not consistent with the intent of the overlay zone, and that is to keep the scale of the neighborhood. The upper left-hand picture shows one of the projects that were first developed under the 12th Street overlay in 2008 before the recession. And lately, the commission in May of last year approved a project, and one of the concerns of that project was the length of the back buildings. As you notice in this drawing, the back building is going to be 265 feet long. And that raised some concern about, is that really in scale with the area and the neighborhood? We took a look at that first building that was built. It was 145 feet long. We looked at other multi-unit buildings that have been developed over time in that neighborhood and had concerns about what would happen if we allow and not have a maximum building length. Again, you look at the different context, the context of 12th Street and going into the canyon versus the concept that takes place in an urban area, for example, here on 20th Street. Those are two completely different feels, and you should have different standards for those areas because they are different. So it was decided to take a look at setting some standards of total maximum building length in order to show compatibility. This illustration, all the red shows existing development, the yellow shows vacant lands of what could be developed, and what that scale looks like if we had 150-foot long buildings. But if we didn't break them up, what they start to look like. And those yellow symbols represent that. And this is both below Harrison and above Harrison. And you can see those vacant areas. And so what we've seen is as these requests are now coming in and comparing to the past, we realize that 150-foot maximum should be a standard that we place in the ordinance of the length of a building. And that building also should be broken up into modules to reflect the character of the existing development that's there, that many of the homes don't get any wider than that 40 feet, and to kind of reflect that residential character that's already developed with the new residential character proposed. There should be offsets in the face of the building, so it's not a long straight line, but you have character and interest, which is what helps people feel comfortable with the setting. So the one recommendation is that there be a maximum building length. There also be a maximum length of when you need to make a break in that building, some type of offset, whether it be balconies, whether it be indents or projections, but those be part of those architectural features. And again, you can see in some of these photos how that before the 12th Street overlay zone was accomplished, and some of the other developments that took place along 12th Street. The other thing that we noticed is, again, with the discussion that took place with projects with the commission last year, is the roof lines and some better language to define breaking up the roof lines so there is some variations again that creates the interest and not a long straight line. You know, when we talk about the character of the 12th Street was to kind of reflect the canyon, those things in. Then you see, when you look at the mountain or ridge line, it's not a straight line like we have on the roof lines. There needs to be variations to create that interest. And so those are things that we've also talked about, having those types of variations so that, again, you have a residential character reflected in the development, and it creates that interest. So the Planning Commission is recommending to you that these two amendments that deal with a maximum length of multifamily building, the requirement to have variations in the front of the facade, and also variations in the roof line be approved as amendments to the 12th Street overlay zone.
Thank you. Any questions for Greg? I'm before you sit down, sorry, I'm recognizing that Ralph came up thinking he could speak to this item, but this item does not allow for public comment. So I'll ask a question that I hope is.
Yeah, it does. Appreciate public.
Yeah, it's a public comment.
Oh, never mind. Sorry, I won't guess. Okay. Thank you. Thanks, Martin. I did miss it. Sorry, we had a long night. I got a lot of notes. Since there are no more questions from the council, we'll accept public input on this item. I will. Yeah. Sorry.
That square chair doesn't squeak as much. That new chair doesn't squeak as much.
This is the second new chair. It doesn't squeak as much, but it goes up this way and up this way, so I can't get in doorways. And so I'll take the squeaking over this anyway. Okay, Mount Price again, 636 East and 6th Street. I want to say on this because on 12th Street, 12th Street, there's such a busy street. One of the things, I travel a lot, going to places and getting to people and getting towards the canyon where people are hibernating to go ahead and do things. So I know that having those, like he says, the long entryways and stuff like that doesn't allow a chance for you to travel that with and it be of any kind of enjoyment and everything. It loses. That's Star Canyon and everything that's up there, and the ambience that's for that part of town and everything's real good. I'd love to see some of the day centers that we're looking to do for the county to be up that way so people can use that and get their thoughts together and stuff like that. But living up there, I think it is important that they have the mountains and the stuff and all that we have to offer here in Ogden. But I also think of the safety of the children. I think that those long stretches of road where you've got, and it's partitioned off for those like this as invitation for running across the roads and doing that, and behaviors happening with a high rate of speed being there. And that's, I think we got to do something to make that seem more like that neighborhood and type feel to it. And that's instead of being just a marketable place to go ahead and collect money and let's pack them in. And that's, I think we got to do things what we can to remind people of the small town community that Ogden really is. And as we are growing so much, I don't want us to become Salt Lake. And as and everything is just a big city. And this, I want us to always to remain Ogden and our communities within inside of itself that make up Ogden and Weber County. And I want to see priority put on beautification as well as our children, as well as safety and everything too. And I think that what Greg has here is a good plan. And that's for us to be able to incorporate that and see that to be one of the things that happen. Although I would like to see also zero income people to be able to, I see you already got your eyebrows together, to be able to rent up there and new housing that may go up that way. And but I will be an advocate for that always. Low income's good, but all we're doing is creating the new poor. That's all it is to it. We have to face the problems of zero income someday, and might as well be today. And we're looking at going ahead and have some day places of good. Maybe we want to put something like that in for the developers to think about that, to be able to be a place for them to come to and be able to enjoy that part of Ogden. So I'm all for what he's saying. Okay.
Thanks, Ralph. I think Councilmember Blair was actually furling his brow in agreement with your comment about not Ogden not wanting to be like Salt Lake. So I think he shares your sentiment there. Okay, any other public input on this item?
Angel Castillo, my comments are as an individual and not as a planning commissioner. The applicant for this particular property was very willing to listen to Planning Commission's suggestions for the buildings and had actually said that our suggestions made the project a better project. We caught some things that allowed it to fit more into the neighborhood, and it's going to be a solid project, and we all need housing. And while I do agree very much with Ralph that we need to start chipping away at what inclusionary zoning might look like and how we're going to house people for less monthly rents or no monthly rents, this is a good start. It's a great project, and I fully support it. And again, I think it's notable that the applicant was extraordinarily willing to bend over backwards to work with the city. So we should reward him with approval of this. Thank you.
Thank you. It's always nice when the process improves the projects. Anyone else care to address the council on this item? Seeing no one else here, we'll entertain a motion on the item.
Chair, I'll make a motion that we adopt ordinance 2020-2.
I second it.
We have a motion by Councilmember Heyer, second by Councilmember Stevens to adopt proposed ordinance 2020-2. This is a roll call vote.
Councilmember Lopez.
Aye.
Councilmember Stevens.
Aye.
Councilmember White.
Aye.
Councilmember Blair.
Aye.
Councilmember Heyer.
Aye.
Vice Chair Chaburka.
Aye.
Chair Nadolski.
Aye. That passes. Thank you for your thoughtfulness, Greg, and attention to detail. Always appreciate it. Now, have a good night. Moving on to new business, we'll start with the election of council chair. I'll open nominations for council chair.
Chair Nadolski, if I may.
Yes, please.
It is my great honor I would like to nominate Vice Chair Chaburka for chair of the council.
I'll second.
Thank you. I don't believe nominations need a second. But
I'll still second, though.
I sure appreciate the
Thank you.
informal vote of confidence there. Okay, as per our rules, we will allow for comments from the candidate who has been nominated, Vice Chair Chaburka.
Thank you, Chair. I really appreciate your vote of confidence, the two of you. And I would be honored to serve as chair if you allow me to do so. Although I'll never live up to Chair Nadolski.
I don't think that's true. We'll sarcasm is always appreciated.
Hey, gotta stay awake.
Yeah. Okay, and also as per our rules, we will consider a motion to select the council chair candidate in order of nomination. In this case, there was one candidate who declared and who filed an interest form with the council process. So we'll consider your nomination, and I'll entertain a motion.
Sorry, what? I thought we nominated.
Sorry. Okay, open nominations.
A motion to nominate.
A
motion to vote.
Yeah, hold on.
A motion after they did the nomination.
It's new.
Consideration of motion to select council chair candidate in order of nomination.
So moved.
Thank you.
I'll second. That one doesn't get a second.
That one does, yeah. And I don't know what I said the first time, but I'm glad whatever I said the second time worked.
I third.
Okay.
Oh, sorry.
It's getting late. We have a motion by Councilmember White, second by Councilmember Heyer, to approve Vice Chair Chaburka as chair for the council. This is a roll call vote.
Councilmember Stevens?
Yes.
Councilmember White?
Yes.
Councilmember Chaburka?
Yes.
Councilmember Nadolski?
Yes.
Councilmember Blair?
Yes.
Councilmember Heyer?
Yes.
Councilmember Lopez?
Yes.
That passes. Moving on to election of council vice chair, I'll open nominations.
Past Chair Nadolski. I would like to nominate Bart Blair.
Thank you. And I'll go by continuing chair till the end of the meeting. Nadolski.
Thank goodness.
And I would make a nomination that we consider Doug Stevens.
Second.
Okay. Thank you.
Don't need a second.
All right.
We don't know.
We still have another meeting after this, so.
Yeah, we gotta make it through.
Yeah. Okay. We will accept comments from the candidates who were nominated in the order of their nomination. So we'll start with Council Member Blair.
Yes, I would find it a great honor and pleasure to be able to serve as in leadership, to continue the work that's been done, and also to continue to work with the administration and keeping the theme of working together and still being able to fulfill and do our role, our duties as with our roles as council members, and in following along with Vice Chair Chaburka, I would hope I could live up to her. That's it. Yeah.
Okay. And comments from Councilmember Stevens.
Thanks, Chair. I want to thank Rich for the nomination, and all of you know who Bart and I are. There's no secrets in that. And the other day I was adding up, at the end of our term, we'll serve 28 years. So whatever comes before the council is nothing new, but the challenge we have is, can we do it better? And I think that's the essence of there. Several meetings during our budget, I don't know if it was Mark Johnson that gave the analogy, but I know Janine Ellis-Smith did this also. But it's a three-legged stool. There are three important aspects of leadership, whether you're chair or vice chair. One is commitment and communications. I think it's necessary for us to communicate with one another, and that's one of the legs of that stool. The other one is transparency. We need to make sure that what we are looking at and what we are saying and what we're gathering facts-wise needs to be transparent to all. I admonish our current leadership and the council in providing a forum by which all people can listen and hear and have their comments mentioned. The other one is relationships, and that's the third leg. We need to build relationships not only through council members, but also our council staff, administration, and also the citizenship. Diversity in our city is a positive entity for Ogden. It what makes us a little bit different than what other communities have. We are listening to many voices that come before us, and it's up to us to build relationships by which we can disseminate those voices and do the correct thing and the most productive thing. Someone said that a leader, and this was at the inauguration, said what we can learn. A leader is what we can learn, what we can show, and what we can do. So the three elements there is learn, show, and do. And I think that's the essence of the three-legged stool. If any of these components are missing, then that stool is inefficient. And it would be my commitment to not only support the chair, but also support all council members and council staff in the programs that are issued to us.
Thank you, Doug. In alignment with our rules, we will consider a motion to select the council vice chair candidate in the order of which they were nominated. So in the case of this evening, we'll consider nomination first for Councilmember Bart Blair as vice chair.
So moved.
Anybody?
I'll second.
Okay. So we have a motion by Councilmember Lopez to approve candidate for Council Vice Chair Bart Blair, seconded by Councilmember Heyer. This is a roll call vote.
Councilmember White.
Yep, aye.
Councilmember Chaburka.
Aye.
Councilmember Nadolski.
Aye.
Councilmember Blair.
Aye.
Councilmember Heyer.
Aye.
Councilmember Lopez.
Aye.
Councilmember Stevens.
Well, I like Bart, but I said
That's an asterisk.
Did I hear a vote?
Yes or no?
No.
That passes. Also, as per our rules that state that the first candidate that was nominated would be considered, and if that nomination is successful, then consideration of additional nominees will not receive additional consideration.
That's good.
But it sounds like Vice Chair Blair has some work to do to get that 7-0 locked up. And next we'll move to the administration of the oath of office for our new council chair and vice chair.
Wait a minute, let's give Ben a thanks before he goes.
Thank you.
Hey.
Technically, I'm supposed to stop you from doing that, but
I mean, it's a small house.
yeah.
It's getting late.
Okay, Tracy.
She's been very patient all night. She's going to be here.
Good people.
Just sign it, right?
If you please rise,
Don't go too fast.
raise your right hand and repeat after me. I do solemnly swear
I do solemnly swear
that I will support, obey, and defend
That I will support, obey, and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Utah,
and the Constitution of the State of Utah,
and that I will discharge the duties
and I will discharge the duties
of my office with fidelity.
of my office with fidelity.
Congratulations.
Do you want to do the ceremonial passing of the gavel?
I think so. Sure.
Under the rules, he continues the meeting.
I know, but
Okay.
He said ceremonial.
it's just ceremonial.
Okay. You're going to love the power? No. Thank you.
Well, we got our photo guy here. Come on, finish it out.
We'll do it afterward.
Okay. All right.
We've already taken public comments, and we'll move to comments from the mayor.
Sure. Huge congratulations to Chair-elect Chaberka and Vice Chair-elect Blair. I think you guys will be great in the position. To add my gratitude for everything you've done, Chair Nadolski. I know it's a tough job and a big balancing act sometimes, so I think you've done a great job walking that fine line. Appreciate the time, effort, energy, and service. I know with your new job and everything else, it's taken quite a toll on your work life and family life. So much respect in that regard. I appreciate that. And I'd also like to publicly recognize Brad Mortensen. They had a great inauguration for him as president, finally, after having the job for at least a year. There were a lot of comments made that they hoped at least he was getting paid for the job he was doing during that time. If not, Weber State's found some good ways to cut budget and staffing, but he did a great job. I think he's going to represent our community well. It was packed, which was, I think, representative of the work he's done in our community to bring people together and to support people and really get out and involved in ways that I think a lot of other university presidents don't take the opportunity to do. So I think he's going to do a great job up there, and I'd like to publicly congratulate him.
Thank you, Mayor. Comments from council members?
It happened between items 2 and 3.
We have another meeting to follow where we'll have.
It doesn't matter.
We don't have any negative. Yeah. Thanks, buddy.
I have
They hear
a
you.
comment.
They hear you. I know. No, they hear you. So, okay. Comments from council members. Thanks.
I will quickly say, first of all, thanks to everyone, even Doug. Thanks for that. I appreciate it, and it was great. And it's hard to go against somebody, but I appreciate the opportunity I have to do this. And like I said, every day I'm just awed of all of your talents and the way that you guys resolve things. And for Ben, we look back and we kind of judge things or kind of remember things based by the big event of that year, and you had quite a few of them, and you handled them very well. So you'll be a multi-memory past chair. So, but it was I'm excited for the opportunity to serve, and I thank you all. And just again, thanks Ben for everything you did for the past year.
You bet. Thank you, Martin. Okay, comments from other council members.
I'd like to make a couple comments, if you don't mind.
Of course.
I also thank you, and I thank you both, Bart and Doug, for putting your name up to be considered. I know that can be very risky and challenging, and I admire that very much. And Ben, I just wanted to make sure I should say Chair Nadolski, to tell you that you'll always be remembered for your wondrous football cheer. I mean, I will never be able to live up to that, that's for sure. And that gavel pounding is so impressive. I don't know. I'm going to have to practice to really do that and remember to use the gavel, because I do have a challenge with that.
I have some tips.
Okay, thanks. And then also just I really admire how you've served with heart, and I appreciate that. So thank you.
Thank you. Comments from other council members?
Yes, Chair. I would be remiss if I didn't thank you for the year of service that you've given. Well, 2 years, really. The year before was vice chair. You do serve with. You've got a good street sense for being a good council member, as well as a good leader. And I admire you for that, and I appreciate the passion that you've put into this. It's been a pleasure to be a council member, and you've served as chair. Thank you very much.
Thank you, brother. Thanks. Comments from other council members?
Yeah, I have just a quick comment. I think one of the a comment that you made, or a statement that you made at one point in time, and that you'll get used to after you move out of that chair, is that I can lead from any chair. And I hope that you continue to do that and lead from whatever chair you're sitting in. So we've appreciated your leadership, and
thank you.
You'll have fun leading from another chair.
So. You bet. You know it. Thank you. Anyone else?
So I want to say congratulations to both Angela and Art, and also want to say thank you to Ben. And there are I think the work you've done to help our council and help advance some of the initiatives that I believe affect underserved members of our community have been really important, and you have helped me personally a lot to be a better person. So I just want to say thank you. Thank you for everything you've done. Good job.
Thank you. Maybe a better person too.
I want to thank Ben for being the type of leader that needed to be at that particular time. I think what helped your leadership, Ben, is the council staff that we have, and I think they do a lot of heavy lifting, and I appreciate our council staff, and I congratulate Bart and Angela. So,
thank you, Doug. And I'll just say that I agree that council staff has really carried me many, many times and carry all of us a lot. But also Vice Chair Chaverka you've been awesome to work with. I really have appreciated having you by my side. You've been tremendous in your counsel along the way. I've relied on you a million times. And I have absolutely no doubt in your ability to lead us for the next year. And I have no doubt Bart will be as supportive of a chair as you were for me. So thanks everybody for giving me the opportunity to lead and to serve. I'm wiped out and exhausted, just like everybody is who does this. And so my time has come, my time has passed. But like the mayor said, there's bright days ahead, and I still believe that every day will be brighter than the past for Ogden. So thank you for you two for stepping in and being willing to serve. It's going to be another good year, but it's going to be tiring. And I hope everybody knows that we're not in leadership because we want a stronger vote or a stronger voice or a political power over another. We're there because we just have a call to serve. So let's make sure in the next year that we support our chair and vice chair, and that we communicate with them and through them, and that we don't expect perfection, because perfection will never exist. But
that's for sure.
But I have absolutely no doubt that in the absence of perfection, we will see greatness from the both of you. So thank you.
Thank you.
I'll entertain a motion to adjourn from this meeting.
So
we have a motion by Councilmember Heyer, second by Councilmember Lopez to adjourn. This is a voice vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We are adjourned, and we have another meeting. The holidays are over, folks. Good. Oh. Okay.
Oh, do it. Yeah.
Just
do it.
I know. Well, after her comment, the glass did not break.
Oh.
Okay. Welcome everybody to the special redevelopment agency meeting of January 7th, 2020. Let the roll call reflect that all board members are present. First item on our agenda is approval of minutes. Minutes of the regular meeting of June 11th, 2019, the special meeting of June 25th, 2019, and the closed session of July 9th, 2019. Board Member Blair.
Yes, I have reviewed those minutes, and keeping with the theme, mine ended at 9:44 p.m., and those minutes are accurate.
Thank you, Board Member Blair. For the minutes of the regular meeting of July 9th, 2019, Board Member Heyer.
Yes, I did not note the time of the meeting ended, but they were correct. And I would make a motion that we approve the minutes.
Second.
They were listed.
We have a motion by Board Member Heyer, second by Board Member Blair to approve the minutes as presented. This is a voice vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes. Thank you for your snark and review. Next item on our agenda is a public hearing, fiscal year 2020 budget amendment for the Swift building demolition. We'll hear from Lisa and, if needed, Brandon.
Thank you, board members. It's a pleasure to be here. The council has approved a budget transfer from the city budget to the RDA. The resolution before you this evening is to appropriate that transfer from the city into the RDA budget. This will be done in the track line RDA area to help with the Swift demolition costs. again quickly for the sake of the meeting. I just wanted to remind you where we're at on the Swift building budget. The original appropriation was $2.2 million. After the purchase and asbestos abatement and site work, there is just over $1 million left in that budget. The current demo bid is at $1.4 million with an additional $117,000 to stabilize the bank. There's some additional work on asbestos and tank cleanup at the site, and then we're proposing a contingency of $202,975. This would leave us sufficient budget to complete the demo work. So the request is to appropriate the $812,975 from the city into the RDA budget. The source of funds was BDO lease revenue. And do you have any questions regarding this budget action?
I do have a question. It's not directly related, but kind of to the project. I understand we have to beef up the road down there. Does that come into part of this project, or does that just come into the regular streets?
I will let Brandon Cooper answer that question.
You should sit there.
So I understand the question being about Exchange Road. Is that what you're asking?
Exactly.
Okay.
As it extends over in front of this project.
It does. Exchange Road is not part of this action tonight. It could be considered in a future action as we look at the development.
That was my question. Is it going to be just a general street issue, or is it going to be attached to this?
CIP?
It'll be attached to the development of that parcel.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's later.
Yep.
Okay. That's all I want to know.
Yep. Later.
Thank you.
Brandon, the line on there that was tank removal, is that the tank you just took out?
Yes, there's actually two, and one of them was the tank I mentioned.
Oh, so there's still another one.
And there could be more.
Okay.
Those are just the two we know about.
Okay. That's my question.
We need some non-destructive inspection.
Yeah.
Okay.
So when would we complete the analysis on the property or the ground, the dirt and that?
So as I mentioned before, we're exactly where we intended to be in terms of that process. So we knew we were going to have to go through asbestos removal. We've done that. We knew that we were going to have to do removal action with the EPA to get the chemicals out. We've done that. We knew we would have to demolish the building, and we've in the process of doing that. So we're going down that path exactly how we intended. We also know that we're going to have to do soil and groundwater studies, but we can't do that until the building is demolished. And so that's the next phase, so to speak, of this process. And as soon as the latent asbestos is remediated, the building will continue to come down. We've already demolished 5 structures, so it's just really the 2 big structures that remain. And then we can get into soil and groundwater remediation as the final phase.
Thank you, Brandon. Any other questions before Brandon sits down?
It's a long walk back.
Yeah. All right, you can go back behind the pole. Thanks. Yeah. So we are not accepting public comment on this item at this time.
This is a public hearing.
Son of a gun. Thank you.
It's okay. It's getting late.
I know.
It'll be all right. We're going to make it.
I did catch myself from cursing, so that's a win. Okay, this is a public hearing, so we will be accepting public comment on this item specifically. So if you wish to address the council on the Swift building demolition budget amendment, now is your time to do so.
Just give him his own lapel mic.
Okay.
Ralph Price again, 636 6th Street. As I just asked Brandon right there, that the soil and the ground and water and stuff like that, it's not included in this funding that we're being asked for right now. He's saying that after this is done, that they'll be coming back to appropriate more for that. I just wanted to see to make sure that you don't cut yourself short on this. As for, like Ben said, you know, I myself am an example right here of incorrectly being done. And I have 6 forms of cancer now. I have 3 forms of arthritis. I have diverticulitis, just had heart operation, kidney and livers next week. kidneys are next week. Liver was just 3 weeks ago. And this is what can happen if you don't take steps and take them properly. Now, all I did was work my family farm and go over some property just over from it where some demolition had to be done. And structures that had been there forever in Davis County and in LA. And then one day, years later, after I got through playing ball and doing all kinds of things and been an Olympian and all kinds of things like that, all of a sudden, my legs went black, blacker than they were, and real black. And they had to chop off the one, and it was just lucky a friend that said, no, come on, pick me up and took me to the hospital, and they cut it off that night because by the morning I'd be dead. And that's 3.5 years ago, and I'm still right here with this other leg fighting to keep it on here. And I'm having to fight to wear wraps. I've got a thing going to my heart now. And I've got both my kidneys that are trying to fail on me. I've got a liver, the late grows, it regrows. I had to take 1/3 of it just to go ahead. But I'm just telling you to shortcut on these type of things. I just admire what you said, that people are more important than anything else. And that you've got to remind, this is going to be part of your legacy. What goes on and how you deal with this, and you go ahead, because it's nothing to play with. Asbestos is nothing to play with. And when it gets into the ground soil and it gets into the waters and it travels to the different area, you can just be walking on your own family farm and thinking everything's fine and everything, and then the next thing you know, years later, you don't know where it came from. But your body's riddled with cancers, and your life is, I'm hospice, I'm anytime. And I've had 3 or 4 this year so far already to the hospital. I know that God loves me because I'm here today, and I'm appreciative of that. But I just want you to be very, very adamant about don't get cost-efficient items, and just remember that it means people down the road. There's never I'm sure Mr. Nalder, when he owned that farms and over there when I was just a baby and kid, and the things that they did over there and this, which were good for the LDS church and stuff, they were all, it was all great and gravy. But I don't think he would have wanted this for me.
Thanks, Ralph.
So I just give you a visual of what you need to do right and appropriate the funds and do it correctly.
Thanks, Ralph. God does love you, and we love you too, bud. Anyone else care to address the council on this item, or the board on this item?
Angel Castillo. Clearly, as the city council has approved this, we know that this is going through, and it is what it is. And with regards to this particular property, I'd like to encourage the council to, in the future, when dealing with properties like this, to think proactively as opposed to reactively. Our city would not be in this situation if we had an empty building ordinance, as many other cities do, with which if you don't have plans on file with the city to be building out, or if you don't have signed rental agreements and there's anywhere from a 6-month to a 1-year window for you to make those things happen, then you have to go through various steps with the city. Sometimes it's a daily fine, sometimes it's a monthly fine, sometimes it's reappropriating that particular building to allow a nonprofit to use it, or to do something that is a community building activity like daycare, or allowing other nonprofits within the building to occupy the building for just insurance and utilities, knowing that at any time, if the building were to be sold, that they would have to vacate within 30, 60, or 90 days. We would not be in this position if we had an empty building ordinance. And I fully understand that the council made the decision to move forward with this very expensive project because they chose the safety of the public with what was in that building. My biggest problems were signing away the rights of the property owners being held responsible for any of the materials that were on there. Again, had we had an empty building ordinance, we never would have been in that situation. So that's something that I'd like you to consider as a council moving forward, so that we learn from projects, big, expensive projects like these. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else care to address the council on this item?
Seeing that there's nobody else in the chambers, I will make a motion that we close the public hearing.
Second.
We have a motion by Board Member Heyer, second by Vice Chair Chaburka to close the public hearing. This is a voice vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The public hearing is closed. Action on the item is...
I'll make a motion, Chair, that we adopt Resolution 2019-17.
Second.
I have a motion by Board Member Heyer, second by Board Member Lopez to adopt proposed resolution 2019-17. This is a roll call vote.
Board Member Blair.
Aye.
Board Member Heyer.
Aye.
Board Member Lopez.
Aye.
Board Member Stevens.
Aye.
Board Member White.
Aye.
Vice Chair Chaburka.
Aye.
Chair Nadolski.
Aye. That passes. Thank you, Brandon, and everyone involved. Next item on our agenda is comments. Any comments from CAO Johnson on behalf of the Executive Director?
Nothing tonight, thank you.
Thank you. Council, comments from board members?
I just have a real quick comment. I have to say that I was down at B Street the other night, and I was amazed at the building that's going on down in that area. So it is evident that it's working, and I saw your little piece on the news regarding the Exchange building itself. So kudos to continuing the fight down there.
Thank you. No other comments? I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
A motion by Board Member Lopez, second by Board Member Heyer to adjourn. This is a voice vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We are adjourned. Thanks for hanging in there, everybody.